You may or may not have noticed, a lot of sought after items on the Bazaar have started to reduce in price, and by quite a lot. Well, the answer might not be exactly what you expect, and for a lot of people I think a certain change has gone under the radar. High tier items like Power 7, Growth 7, Protection 7, Vicious, and many more in some cases have halved in price. Now what do all these items have in common? Well, the common denominator is that they're all obtainable through the experimentation table exclusively. And what determines the price of said items? Well, the supply and demand for those items. If there's a massive increase in supply and the same demand, then of course the item price is going to drop. As little as 3 weeks ago, Power 7 was almost 325 million coins. And of course now it's less than 200 mil. As for Growth 7, we go back 3 weeks and the price was 223 mil. And of course now, depending on your level of patience, you could potentially pick one up for less than 100 mil. Even items like Protection 7, 3 weeks ago were almost 50 mil and are now about 30 mil. Crazy. However, like I said, all items are only obtainable through the experimentation table, and there's quite an influx in supply with a very similar amount of demand, hence why the prices have gone down. The reason for this is the introduction of the Mythic Guardian pet. Prior to the introduction of the Mythic Guardian pet with this here Guardian Lucky Block, of course obtainable in the Rift, and that's why we've only just got this, the maximum rarity you could have of a Guardian was Legendary. Now here's the thing, nobody really had the Legendary pets because, well, the rare pet kind of did everything that you needed with the Guardian pet. Everyone previously only really used it for the extra 30 Enchanting Wisdom that the Enchanting Wisdom boost gives you, and of course you can actually have that on the rare pet. But of course on the Mythic pet there's an extra perk at the bottom. Lucky 7, gain 7 plus 7% chance to find ultra rare books in super pairs. Of course super pairs is the part of the experimentation where you actually can, well, obtain items, i.e. pretty much all of the higher tier books that I was going through before. Now, here's the thing. Plus 7% chance to find ultra rare books, and you've got to actually think about what that actually means. Because when you think about it, it's actually not that clear. Before we go any further, the next time you purchase anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel, become part of the 25%, there's no reason not to. You should also join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of every single video. When we see a percentage buff on an item in Skyblock, there's two sorts of buffs that we could be talking about. One of them being additive, and the other one being multiplicative. As demonstrated on this forum post from all the way back in 2021, but the concept is still the same. If we have 100 as a base of pretty much anything and we want to add 20% and also another 20%, you can see the figures at the end come out slightly different depending on how they're actually calculated. Of course in this example the difference is pretty minute, being 0.04, however this can differ depending on the calculations. Now regardless of how much of an increase this actually grants, we can't doubt that it's clearly overpowered considering the decrease in prices of all of the books that are actually worth anything on the Bazaar. So here's my thoughts. For instance, if it was actually just a true 7% increase in chance, then why is Power 7 decreased in price by over 40%? I know this might be a little bit long, but I think it would make more sense when we have stats like this on different items. Underneath the Lucky 7 ability, it should tell us, based on our stats, what we actually gain from the ability, i.e. when it says it's just a plus 7% chance, this clearly realistically isn't true because it's not reflective of the price. Something else you've got to consider is the fact that people may just be actually doing more experiments, considering there's now technically a higher chance of actually dropping the books, leading to the prices of the books dropping, partially because of the pet, but also because of more people doing experiments. Now let's take a look at the cost of this pet. You can get a level 1 Mythic Guardian for just over 15 mil. Level 100 is going to set you back around about 20 mil. Something else that's got to be noted is the experimentation table is just complete luck. So you could potentially do 100 experiments and get absolutely nothing, or you could get 100 experiments and get 100 Power 7s. I've not used this pet much, but from my experience it didn't really do anything for me, but for other people I know it's absolutely crazily OP, but that could just be down to their luck, which it's got to be as well, partially. I'm going to quickly do my experimentations and see if anything happens. So maybe it's just my luck that's terrible. If the prices hadn't gone down so much, then I would say this is a myth. But I think I'm just unlucky. Now something else that's very interesting about the Guardian pet is its actual mage capabilities. You have the laser beam ability, zaps your enemies for 120 times your intelligence every 3 seconds. Of course, for instance, if you had 10k mana, that's 1.2 million damage. If you have 5k mana, that's 600k damage. And it's passive? Interesting. Also, mana pool, which is obviously, well, an attribute you can put on armor. Regenerate 30% extra mana, doubled when near or in water. So if we just try and waste some mana, I want to see how quickly it regens. I mean, well, 30% better than usual. But at the end of the day, all of this is just a bonus. When you compare the base Guardian stats to the base Sheep stats, even that is quite comparable. Of course you don't get the extra 3 perks, and you don't get the extra ability damage, but the base intelligence is the same, which makes this a very, very interesting pet. Now, in my opinion, the main reason for this change was probably to reduce some of the prices on the Bazaar. Whether the prices have decreased just purely because more people are doing experiments, or because the pet is just that overpowered, either way it's working. Of course, a couple of months back we had a massive problem with prices such as recombobulators, which are still relatively high, booster cookies and the rest of it. I'm not going to start again because we know, I've talked enough about it, you know. However, even after all of the changes were implemented to reduce the insane inflation, some prices were still ridiculously high. A few weeks ago, 300 to 350 mil it's just way too much for Power 7, it really is. And if I'm being honest, I think 180 mil is still overpriced. But it's a damn sight better. Of course, when you're going for a pretty decent Terminator, for instance, this is going to shave almost 200 million coins off the price, because, well, Power 7's cheaper. To be honest, for majority of people, not really anything to complain about. Having said that, enchantments like Looting 5, still 240 mil. Granted, they were more expensive, but so expensive for what it is. It's just looting at the end of the day. You can pick up a Looting 4 for, well, that cheap you probably struggle to buy one. I'd like to hear from you guys if you've tried out the new Mythic Guardian and if you've seen an increase in rare drops from experimentation tables. I personally can't say that. I just can't say it's true. It's just not happened for me at all. But for people that I speak to, it's been way, way, way better, and they've been getting way, way, way more drops, and it obviously makes sense when you consider the prices on the Bazaar. At the end of the day, there's no dispute that the Mythic Guardian increases your chances of getting rare drops, but how much your chances are increased by is a completely other story. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.